So let's get started. So first, thank you all very much for attending our inaugural Sia Foundation Community Town Hall. I'm Nate. I'm a core developer for the Sia Foundation. I've been with the Sia Foundation for about 2 years now. I've been in the Sia community for about 6, almost 7 years. As we're going through this, we're going to be doing the Q&A session basically entirely at the end. So please throw any questions, comments in chat as we're going through, and we will, we have most of the team here to answer basically any question you can throw at us at the very end. So today we're going to be talking about some development updates. This will largely mirror what we've already been talking about, but we will share updates on milestones for Hostd, Renterd, and what we're trying to do going forward. We have some very exciting team updates and possibly an introduction. We have some updates on the exchange situation and what we're trying to do to remedy that. We can't give a whole lot of information there, but we are trying to improve the situation. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about some goals for communication with the community going forward and how we can improve ecosystem growth. Then we have a community spotlight. We're going to be highlighting 2 projects that are very exciting in the ecosystem that are building right now. And then lastly, we will do the Q&A session where you can ask us almost anything. So this was a very, very busy month for us at the Foundation development-wise. We launched the beta for Hostd. Renterd had massive improvements for upload and download. And we launched the alpha of WalletD. So what is Hostd? Hostd is the next generation storage provider software for Sia. It's a complete rewrite from the ground up of the original hosting software. We designed it to be more reliable, more observable, and more performant. So performance-wise, we see around a 20 times improvement in ingress. So to put that in perspective, Sia takes in data from renters at a maximum of around 60 megabits per second. Hostd dramatically improves that to well over 1 gigabit per second. Renters upload and download largely in parallel, so with Hostd, a renter could theoretically saturate a 10 gigabit per second connection, which has never been possible before on Sia. That means that hosts can really make use of enterprise-grade hardware and big data pipes. We've completely reduced resource usage across the board. You'll see very much lower IOPS, so we're no longer thrashing your disks as renters upload data. You'll see much lower CPU and memory usage, so you should no longer get out-of-memory kills all the time. But also, with these new softwares, we're really focusing on making the network more robust. And so in Hostd, we added data integrity tools to enable hosts to detect issues early on and monitor the health of their stored data. So hosts can detect corruption early, detect disk issues early, and remedy those issues, or if it's a bug in the software, we can fix the issue and identify where that issue came from much quicker. For the next release, we're probably going to be improving the data integrity checks, largely automating them, making them more robust, adding additional metrics, and making the onboarding experience smoother. A lot of the initial feedback we've gotten, specifically from desktop users, is that onboarding is way too complicated, so we are going to be working to fix that. So Renterd has been in beta for a while now. It's the new renting software replacing Sia. It is specifically designed for renters and makes uploading much easier and much more user-friendly. So this month we focused largely on performance and stability again. So initial benchmarking, we've seen about 3 times increase in upload speed and 5 times in downloads. So what that means is renters can obviously upload a lot faster, but also streaming will be much more responsive. We've also been working hard on repair optimizations, so renters should see less churn, more stable migrations, and have much more robust file repair. The repair system manages the health of your files. It's a very, very critical component of the renter. So our goal is to make that as robust and reliable as possible. And last, we're almost done with development at the very least. WalletD has entered alpha. If you are familiar with Sia Central's wallet, you will be very happy to know that WalletD enables the same multi-wallet support. So you can now have multiple seeds, multiple wallets, and track them all from a single location without having to jump through hoops deleting files or resetting wallets. So this launch is important for a number of reasons. First, it's obviously a completely revamping of our wallet ecosystem. Second, it's the first official wallet with hardware wallet support, so you no longer have to trust the Sia Central Lite wallet to use a ledger device. But most importantly, it's the first core native node. So what that means is, RenterD and HostD still make use of SiaD's gateway and consensus code. The consensus is very important. It's the most complex and critical component of the Sia network. It basically defines how you communicate peer-to-peer and which blocks are valid. So we've completely rewritten that in core, which makes it much easier to extend, much easier to maintain, and much easier to test. The most important part is that this is largely transparent to users. You might see faster syncing and less issues, but it won't require a hard fork. It doesn't require any sort of updates. It's just there. But why we did that is that it makes it much easier to switch to UTXO in the future. So SiaD's consensus design makes it really, really difficult to update and really, really difficult to test. So with core, we've really focused on making it much easier to extend and much easier to test. So we've got to spend a lot more time testing the consensus on Zen, the testnet that we set up, in WalletD to make sure it's compatible with all the current consensus rules, make sure we're not creating any sort of forking problems or issues. But eventually the goal is to migrate to HostD and then RenterD, and then that is the first stepping stone towards finally getting to the UTXO hard fork. So now that we're out of development, we have successfully hired our first growth-oriented team member at the foundation. I think everyone knows that the foundation is largely engineers, and that has obviously been a pain point for the community. So we are very, very excited to announce our developer relations expert, Oliver. Our goal for development relations is to improve the developer experience, create comprehensive learning resources, host events, sponsorships, hackathons, workshops, meetups, but also support our existing community and the grants ecosystem, provide more support, technical guidance, a point of contact for developers. So moving on to, I'm sure you are all well aware of the news surrounding exchanges recently. The SEC is becoming much more aggressive. FTX imploded. Bittrex was sued out of the country. Binance is not looking so great. Kraken, with all available indicators, appears to still be the best choice for Sia coin trading. We are actively working with 2 US-based exchanges. We can't say anything else at this time, but we are actively working on improving availability in the US. So, on to the more important topics for today. Communication and growth, largely both struggles, things we've struggled with as the foundation for most of our history. So we've been working on a number of things to improve how we communicate and how we get feedback from the community. This town hall is part of that. We created the community proposals channel, for structured discussion around changes. We primarily did that because Discord channels get messy. We don't always see every message. It's very easy for things to get lost in the noise. Community proposals really gives us a structured place to keep discussions on topic and will hopefully allow all parties to feel heard. There's been a lot of chat in the community about compatibility in the accountability in the foundation. While things clearly need to change moving forward, I do want to highlight the goals we set and achieved as an organization. The foundation was designed and built to develop the Sia network. For the last 2.5 years, we could largely lean on Skynet as the network's marketing and outreach arm, allowing the foundation to focus primarily on the network's technology and health. We've made major strides in development over the last few years. We've fixed crippling bugs in Sia. We've successfully launched Hostd, RenterD, and WalletD, which pushed the limits of what is possible. But with Skynet gone, the foundation needs to take a much more active role in the growth of the network. Our goals moving forward must include outreach, growth strategies, and development. And I think we've made a great first step with onboarding our first growth role. But obviously we can do more. In the next 3 to 6 months, we want to really work to create content calendar to publish and promote the Sia ecosystem much more consistently. Provide comprehensive learning resources to ease onboarding, with the end goal of doubling the active developer count. The goals will change and evolve as we look at additional hires, but we really want to work with the community to track successes and failures and adjust as needed. For accountability, I think adding more structure, tracking those initiatives and setting goals for growth will really help all of us get a better understanding of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and make adjustments as we move forward. We're really excited about these changes, and we're really excited about getting feedback from the community and moving forward from the Skynet shutdown. Last thing before the Q&A, we are going to do 2 community spotlights if it works. The first one will be Red Solver from S5.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, then. Yeah, so as some of you might know, wait, let me just get out my notes. Yeah, so for some time now, I've been working on a new decentralized storage network called S5. And you may know IPFS, the Interplanetary File System, and S5 is pretty similar to that. So instead of basically being a full blockchain or blockchain network that also stores the data like Sia, it's just a lightweight peer-to-peer layer on top, which basically does content address data. So you can ask on the network, hey, who's hosting this specific file with this hash? And then the network answers where you can download it. And this is pretty similar to Skynet, but the difference to Skynet is that it's a lot simpler and also supports multiple storage backends. So in addition to storing files on Sia, which is of course supported as one of the backends, you can also just use existing S3 storage solutions like Firebase, for example, or also Backblaze and others. You can also use local storage or your personal Nest storage. You can also store things on Arweave. There's even a work-in-progress Filecoin integration, but it doesn't really work at the moment. But of course, the most major one, if you want to store large amounts of data for cheap, is using the Sia one with the new RenterD backend. Yeah, I also already in testing this. For example, one use case is mirroring Twitch VODs, which can get pretty large over to Sia, which is a good use case because there's a lot of them and a lot of data. And I had great success trying that out. And I think at the moment I have like 0.5 terabyte or maybe 1 terabyte of Twitch VODs stored on Sia with this setup, excluding without redundancy. So it's working pretty well. And I also tried streaming there. This is not public yet because these Twitch reviews are just for testing. I, of course, need to get approval from some of the content creators before really publishing this new tech. But something that you can use today is the WUP Cloud or WAP Cloud Storage app, which is decentralized open source end-to-end encrypted cloud storage app available for Android, iOS, Windows, Linux, and macOS. And you can try the new beta version today. You can take a look at the community announcement channels here on Sia. And after setting it up, if you used WUP before with the Skynet integration, you need to create a new account, which now uses the S5 technologies. And after creating your account, you can choose between multiple of the storage buckets. So in theory, every single one I just mentioned works. So Sia, S3, so on. But unfortunately, there are no public S5 portals running yet. They are easier to run than Skynet portals. So if you're interested in in hosting a public S5 node, it can be free, it can be paid. You can do it however you want. There's the account management tools still need some work, but we can work together to add everything that you need. And then users can simply, just like with Skynet portals, select the S5 node they want, the S5 portal they want, sign up there and store data. And the new WAP version also does a great deal for making files more redundant. So you can, in settings, configure that, for example, all of your new files are uploaded to multiple of these remote backends and pinned there, so that even if one of them goes down, it's still there. If you want to get even further and have full control over your data, you can also run a local instance of the new Sia D software. For example, on your computer, or better yet, on something like a network-attached storage device, so that it's running all the time and can do repairs. Then you can just configure in WUP settings to use this endpoint, this D instance you're hosting or somewhere, and store data directly on Sia. For example, Control Alt Defeat, who's here in this call too, I think, did a lot of testing with that and helped make the Sia integration more reliable. So thanks for that. Another integration is also, if you don't want to host your own Sia network but still use a remote service, you can also configure Pixel Drain, which is another nice service which also used Sia in the past and maybe will in the future again too if D gets stable. So a lot of awesome opportunities waiting ahead. So someone is asking for links. You can check the community announcement channel here in the Sia Foundation Discord. There's everything linked. It's basically just wup.app. The default link on there just joins the WUP Discord server, but you don't need to do that. You can just go straight to the documentation, and there are all the download links for all the platforms. Also keep in mind, this is a beta version, so please don't use it as your only backup. Yeah, but that's not the only thing that you can do with S5, storing personal data. There's, of course, also other use cases, for example, public social media use cases. As part of that, I did a lot of fun Blue Sky development. If you don't know, Blue Sky is a decentralized Twitter alternative, which is currently being worked on. Unfortunately, it's still invite only, but there's a public sandbox network that's open to anyone and which already does the decentralized federation thing. So you can just host your own personal data server and federate with the entire network. And I don't want to talk that much about Blue Sky here, but I think it's the best social media alternative decentralized solution that's in development right now. So I decided to focus my effort on that instead of building my own. And part of this effort is combining the S5 storage network and of course also Sia with Blue Sky. And for this, I have a working demo which basically does already in the sandbox network host video metadata on Blue Sky, or to be precise, on the AD protocol, which also powers Blue Sky as one of the apps. But developers can build other apps like video sharing, audio sharing, and so on. And the fun part here is that it's just published as a normal record on the network and streams all of the media files from the S5 network. So you can, for example, publish a giant video file or, I don't know, a podcast on Blue Sky, and it's streamed from, for example, the Sia network or from an S3 endpoint or Pixel Drain, whatever. Everything is possible. Anything works. yeah, this is of course still an early preview, but I think there are a lot of great opportunities because media hosting is one of the parts that Blue Sky hasn't solved yet because they, for example, limit image size to 1 megabyte only right now because content address storage or storage of large files and streaming is not really something they did yet. So that's a great fit. Yeah, so, oh yeah, I should maybe paste the demo. Wait a second. Yeah, so here's, for example, one of the demo videos. The metadata is hosted on Blue Sky or AD protocol to be precise, and media is streamed from the S5 network. Right now, I think it's stored on both Pixel Drain and Firebase, and this specific video not on Sia yet, but that's just a matter of pinning it to a Sia-enabled portal, and it will be stored on Sia too. So it's all easily interoperable and has always the same content addressing. That's just the beauty of content addressing. Yeah, so thanks for listening. And if you want to follow the development, keep an eye out on community announcements. And also, I do regular monthly updates on the Sia forum, on my grant. There's also an S5 Discord and a WUP Discord. Yeah. If you have questions, just ask me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're very excited about S5. We've used it ourselves a little bit. I have not set up a S5 portal yet, but that is something that we have looked at doing. Next, we're going to hear from Mike76 about Sia Satellite.
Awesome. Thank you, and hello, everyone. Yeah, so about Sia Satellite. If you don't know what it is, it initially was planned as a service that allows people to rent decentralized storage, for instance, by using Renterd software. But yeah, so the user wants to rent storage, but they don't have Sia coins and they don't want to buy them, which is understandable because normally you have to go through all this KYC process at an exchange to transfer fiat currency and buy crypto there. So basically what Sia Satellite does, it forms the contracts with the host on the behalf of the user, and the user pays to the Sia Satellite service in fiat currency. Unlike what some people think, it's not an exchange service, so you can't buy crypto with your credit card using Sia Satellite. It's simply not allowed to do that, because otherwise all the SEC scrutiny will be there, and basically the owner, the operator of the satellite node, has to buy Sia coins themselves, which is okay in my case because I have no issues with Bittrex. I'm in Europe, but yeah, I can understand that this issue may arise in future. So this work on aligning with more exchanges is very important. Yeah, now what the status is, you can use forked Renterd on my GitHub repo to form and renew contracts using Sia Satellite. But also there are some other features in the pipeline. Because I don't want to limit Sia Satellite only to providing contracts for the fiat currency. As this is a service which is 24/7 online, it can also renew contracts on the renter's behalf when the Renterd node is switched off. And also if, for instance, the node is off for a prolonged time, some data may go corrupt or disappear from the network. So basically a satellite can also take on this part and repair the files for the renter. That's still pretty much work in progress, but yeah, we'll get there. So right now I'm focused mainly on getting the satellite more robust. Also, I'm getting rid of the old dependencies of the BoltDB, and I'm moving the storage to MySQL. Yeah, and I'm also proud to say that this Sia Satellite is also a core native node. with Wallet-D. It doesn't use any legacy dependencies of Sia. So I'm happy to answer any questions when you have any. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Mike. We are also very, very excited about Sia Satellite. You know, making Sia more accessible outside of the crypto ecosystem is something that we have been wanting to do for a very, very long time. So we're excited that someone has finally taken up that charge. Now we're going to be doing the Q&A. Post your questions in chat. Oh, did I forget Oliver? I forgot Oliver.
Oh gosh, it worked. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, just going back a few slides. So yeah, I'm Oliver. Soon be starting as developer relations at the Sia Foundation. But yeah, I've had previous experience with software developing alongside developer advocacy and some developer relations. And I feel like it's been a fantastic way for me to have like this multi-perspective understanding from what developers want versus what we can offer. But yeah, so I just want to deliver the best and most honest user experience from technical assistance, from just a place of empathy, really. But yeah, it's good to be on board. Like I said before, my previous experience is developer relations. I was working for a privacy-focused company. So that ultimately involved bridging the gap between the community and internally, creating some content, some blog posts, tutorials, videos, some nutritious content that you guys can sink your teeth into, maintaining documentation, refreshing the existing content as well, just really educating the community on various mediums, doing a bit of public speaking, hosting some hackathons, and one thing I really love is doing AMA sessions too. It's a really big Q&A session where anyone can just ask any questions, and it's a safe space, really. But yeah, ultimately, I want to impact the community. That's what I need to do. So in this community, I want to make it a lot more proactive. I want to make it a lot more collaborative, improving outreach. But yeah, just bringing awareness, promoting inclusivity as well, and just giving you guys support too. But yeah, thank you for having me on board. And sorry about the comms before.
No, it's all good. We're figuring this out too as we go along. So first time is bound to be a little bit shaky. So now we're, going to enter our AMA. You can ask us almost anything. We have, I think, most of the team here, so we should be able to cover basically everything.
So it's reading the message from Red Rock Mining. DevRel position, I'm just going to read it out. DevRel position sounds useful, but what about high-level business development, marketing, partnerships, collaborations, sponsorships, general ecosystem health and growth, and etc.? Are those part of the DevRel portfolio, or will someone else be spearheading those efforts? I honestly think that is definitely going to be underneath my umbrella. When it comes to marketing, that's got to be a strategic thing. You've got to be able to put out blog posts. You've got to be able to reach out to communities that are out there on the internet, not just keeping it within Discord, but also scaling it out within that sentence as well, growth, and monitoring the growth of that as well, and the health. But yeah, I'm going to pick out collaboration, marketing, growth, and general ecosystem health. That will definitely be under my umbrella. I'm not too sure about business development. I probably might pass that on to someone, but I know my involvement, no matter how big, will be within that as well.
So to kind of elaborate that though on specifically like high-level business development and partnerships, we, as a nonprofit, we have to be very careful with partnerships that we pick. Basically, it has to be for an exempt purpose, and it cannot look like we're helping for-profits make money. So we have to walk a very fine line with what partnerships, collaborations, and sponsorships we actually can do.
So yeah, when you talk about sponsorships, I feel from my previous experience, I've put together like grant programs, and that's a sense of sponsorship because we're incentivizing people to put together these amazing projects. You're also getting the support, the technical support, You're also getting that exposure as well within the community and outside of the community too. So I think sponsorship could be a very a variable, element to that all. 100%. I think Helix has got a question about tutorials. 100%. There's going to be some tutorials coming out. I feel that tutorials are very beneficial to the variety of different developers that want to learn. Like at the end of that sentence, you could say things like tutorials for like people that are less technically inclined. And that's great because we understand that not all developers are going to be clued in on the Sia Foundation, the technology that we're working on. And tutorials is going to be the best way for, step by step, just holding someone's hand throughout that process so they can set up a node and feel that accomplishment. And it's the tutorials, the videos, the how-to videos, the demos, they're going to be a great foundation for anyone that wants to onboard within the community, so they don't feel left out. Because sometimes it can be a bit too scary, just checking in on documentation and seeing some stuff that you don't understand. Tutorials and videos are a method, an avenue of people allowing people to learn. So yeah, 100%.
Ed Solver would like to know how file packing is going.
All right. Hello, everybody. So most of the groundwork for file packing is actually done or has been done for 2 weeks or so, but we shifted our focus temporarily to more stability and bug fixing. So yeah, I will probably pick the file packing back up next week, and hopefully it doesn't take more than a couple of days of fully focused work on file packing to really get it working. If anybody's interested in how that's going to be implemented, it's basically going to be implicit. So you just use the API the same way you would already, and files just get packed in the background. But it's you can turn it on and off, so it's not enabled by default in the beginning probably, and you can choose to enable it because it comes with trade-offs.
I think small file support has been probably my most requested feature since I joined the community. So thank you.
So will there be any built-in help when it comes to backing up recovering the Renter-D database? I think initially we're going to maybe publish a bunch of maybe blog posts and scripts and things like that to help people backing up the database. It's a very simple process essentially to create the backup, and there are already a ton of open source tools out there that do it better than we probably ever could, like MySQL dump and tools like that. And also SQLite 3, for example, has a backup command that you can use to create a backup. Essentially, there are ways to do it while the system is still running and the whole state still stays consistent. So I don't think that we're going to go for the seed-based file recovery direction anytime soon, if that was the underlying question.
Yes, we are working on a updated budget and revising it. So far, I think we've largely been happy with our budget, but as we look to grow, we will need to make some adjustments. I think for downloads only, I'm not really sure we want to disable auth. I know SciAD did that, but there are some pretty big trade-offs with that. Yes, GitHub has a project view for what we're currently working on. We actively update it for every project. So priorities are listed there with milestones. The benefits of caching cannot be understated. All right, and with that, thank you again, everybody, for attending. I think this was a very, very successful first step and first call. I'm really happy we finally got these on the calendar, and we'll see you next month.